Black people, I want you to listen to me. I have a message from God for you. Now, you guys may think, what's this white girl doing talking to us? She ain't one of us. She ain't got nothing to say. You better hold your dang tongue, because I got plenty of authority to speak on. I grew up in the poorest parts of Savannah. I was the only white girl in my entire school, all 4 years. I suffered massive persecution at your hands. I've had death threats on my life. I was beaten nearly every day I went to school just for being white. So don't tell me I cannot prophesy to you over what the Lord has.
As someone who believes, of course, in Jesus Christ and the gifts of the Spirit, prophecy, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, that's not how you do it, sis. That's not how you do it. No. Because number one, you coming in hot. So immediately, nobody's listening. We're not listening. That's not how God speaks to people. Stop. That's why people hate us. Because of people like you. Stop doing that.
I haven't reported on Joe Biden's first press conference yet because I really didn't know what to say on the subject. But I think that this post right here really sums it up. It says, the media's failure to ask about the pandemic, the recession, anti-Asian violence, climate change, or even infrastructure, Biden had to bring it up himself, was nothing short of irresponsible. They pled for a news conference and then showed themselves to be unserious. They never laid a glove on Biden. They did, however, make the case for why these events are an utter waste of the president's time. I couldn't have said it better. I love this article, and this is exactly why he hasn't talked to the media as of yet.
Put your hands behind your back, Kevin. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. I'm going to take you to jail. Okay? First of all, okay, listen to me. None of this tear stuff. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to have an attorney present while you are questioned. If you can't afford to hire one, the court will appoint you one. Do you understand that? Say yes or no. You do. Okay, let's have a seat in the back seat. So when you stop crying and getting all hysterical, I'll talk to you, okay?
You guys see this? Do you see that demon holding that child right there?
Ma'am, why are you holding that child like that? Where's her mom? I can tell that she doesn't want to be held. Why are you holding her like that? How are you going to come to Tanzania and hold a child, an African child? Look, she doesn't want to be held. So why are you coming up into Africa and holding an African child that does not want to be held? Why are you holding that child like that? Can you give me an answer? Because I know you don't want to come over here and you don't want to be charitable.
Where are the parents?
Are you pimping out your children? Is that what you're doing? For a little buck? What's my problem? Because you're coming over from Europe and you're abusing my people. You're abusing my children. You're coming over into Africa. Haven't you done enough? Like, you want to do more? Look at this child.
Where are the parents? Where are the
this
parents?
This is not your child. His child was on the street. Okay, then why don't we...
Can you talk about sundown towns? Of course. Let's unwhitewash a little history. Let's get it. Now, this is the Negro Motorist Green Book, and it was compiled to warn black people traveling across the country about sundown towns. Victor H. Green, a postal worker in Harlem, compiled the first Green Book in 1936 as a safe travel guide for black people across the country. He noted in the first issue that 44 of the 89 counties along the famed Route 66 were sundown towns. Simply put, sundown towns were all white communities that excluded black people and other minorities by use of discriminatory laws, the threats of violence, or just harassment. Sundown towns were not just restricted to the South, and the last edition of the Green Book came out in 1966, and there are still sundown towns today.
You tell me and prove to me that black people are violent and that they're going to take over, and I can open up the New York Daily News and show you white people who are killing their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their children, killing each other off. Well, if we put that in the paper and make it black and white, which is where the whole thing happens. It's in the paper. If a black man does something, it says, John Jones, blacklist, said black, 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 and did the black, black. Now, if a white man does it, it isn't white man Jones. It's just a man. nondescript, just a regular old raggedy man, went out, killed his 2 daughters and his wife, and shot himself. Now, if he does that, then everybody seems to just either sympathize with it or let it go out the window. But if a black man does it, then any white bigot can point his finger and say, see that? There they go again. Well, that isn't right. It isn't.
They bullied her to the point where she thought her life was worth less. But what about that plastic potato? They tangled his body in a barbed wired fence and left him there to rot and die. But what about that cartoon French skunk? They kneeled on his neck until he couldn't breathe any longer. They listened to him beg for his life and they ignored him. But you tell me about that cat that wears a hat.
We don't want your thoughts and prayers. We want to smell change in the air. How many more times, how many more lives will be lost until they can be spared? This is America's refrain, our claim to fame, the innocent slain. So many bullets flying, people dying, children hiding, mamas crying. We're not surviving if going to the supermarket makes you a gunman's target. Is this the country we want our children to inherit? 'Cause we're doing nothing to repair it. The land of the free, we're only free to die. And that's a price too high. We've just become numb to all the lives lost too young and their songs left unsung. Amanda said there's always light if we're brave enough to be it. And I'm going blind from the shine, and they're still not brave enough to see it.
Here's something funny.
Violent people, many of the people coming. These countries don't send out their finest, and in some cases, I'm sure you have wonderful, fine people, but you also have criminals, you have murderers, you have sex traffickers, you have a lot of very bad people coming into our country. And
this, because it's just happened now, and I want to double check this with our producers. The DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, has resigned, Mr. President.
Well, I'm not surprised. Good. That's a big victory for our country.
Hold on. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me listen to my team one more time. Forgive me. Forgive me. That has not happened. But and I apologize.
Okay.
Listening to the team and you.
Cross off
But
that
I know
victory.
that you.
Okay. I mean, it was just an